Welcome back to the CENTERCOURT Weekly Show, whatever we call it. I'm CENTERCOURT. I got Frank Wolf across from me. Big weekend coming up this weekend. Big one. CENTERCOURT Classic. Tips tomorrow night. 2 games Friday. 5 games Saturday. It's going to be pretty awesome. How are you today, Frank?
I'm fantastic. I'm looking forward to this marquee event, and it is a marquee event here in Western New York. It's up there with the Kensington Lions Club game. You know, this is something that if you're a basketball fan and you miss it, then shame on you. You've known about it. It's been tweeted out. It's been on Chad's website since it's been announced. So it's not like you don't know.
The shame on you would just be, why wouldn't you want to see it? What? If you're a high school basketball fan, unless you've got a prior obligation, I don't know why you wouldn't want to try to get to it just to see some of the games, just to be part of what's going on. Kyle Husband trying to call me right now.
Yeah.
Missed my call
Wanna
earlier.
take it?
He's getting that would be funny. Let me call him back and throw him on speaker.
It'd be funny.
It would be funny. Getting a voicemail from him.
He wants to know about the how was the rankings this week? He's on the rankings.
Yes.
You don't do weekly rankings.
I do.
You do weekly?
I do my own weekly rankings.
But you don't do it.
But I also vote. My rankings are one of the Buffalo News poll votes, yes.
I got you. Oh, so they're just taking yours with your permission.
No, they've asked me. And there he is. Tim never takes long to remember to turn the lights on.
That's okay.
Yeah, I vote in the Buffalo News poll every week. Forgot to do it last week, and then my name wasn't listed as one of the pollsters because I didn't do it and they didn't, go and grab my votes off the website and put them on. I didn't care, but it's okay. I mean, they got other stuff going on. It's not Clevis Murray's job to track down my stuff and make sure it's part of his. Yeah. So I missed the boat, and then my name wasn't listed, and then I got a bunch of people saying, what happened? I thought, I hope you didn't take yourself off or anything. I was like, oh, no, I just forgot. And I'm an idiot.
You're a busy guy.
They're sanctioning me. So
you're a busy guy.
But, yeah, I put my votes in this week, and we're good to go. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up on a couple things on the X app right now.
Are you texting Kyle back to let him know that you are indisposed?
No. Gosh. I talked with Kyle enough that he's a busy guy too. He's certainly, if he calls me and I don't answer, he's probably saying just as good.
So you're like
on with what I was doing.
You're going a million miles a minute here right now. I mean, are you taking a deep breath? Because this is like the most stressful you're going to be the next 48 hours of the year. These are the most stressful 48 hours.
Good question. So this is the 7th CENTERCOURT Classic, and I used to be way more stressed out before it. Now I've been more stressed out the month of it because I've finally started to understand that's what you got to do is get ahead of this stuff or you're going to go crazy and not enjoy it. And you always think about, oh, yeah, I've got all this covered. You don't. Stuff comes up. There's just details, and I'm a kind of a perfectionist or an OCD type I'm particular. That's my daughter has said that. If I was going to describe you in one word, it would be you're particular. I'm particular. It doesn't mean I'm right, but I'm particular. So I like things to be a certain way, and that's just me. So like the music at the CENTERCOURT Classic, those are playlists, but there's thought that goes into them, and I actually solicited input from somebody. And said, so listen, I need a few good tracks for warm-ups. I've got more old school stuff in my playlist. I said stuff I like, stuff that was good when it was good, but some of the stuff I have on a warm-up playlist might be 10 years old, but it's still.
What about the player warm-up music? That's
what I'm talking about.
Is that by request though?
Sometimes, yeah, I've done that. I've reached out to a kid at a school before and said, hey, is there a song you'd like to see in your playlist for warm-ups? And added that.
Is there anybody in this classic worthy of making such a request?
Yeah. I don't. Ooh. Oh, I don't think I.
Who is worthy enough out of all these players? They were to come to you and say, "Chad, I want this during my."
Oh, there's several. If they came and just requested a song, there's several. There's a lot of worthy players in this classic. Carson Swanson.
Okay,
Carson Swanson. That's someone who maybe in the past I would have thought to say, "Hey, Carson, is there a Westfield song you'd like to see in the rotation?" I think I did that for. I did that for the 2 boys that were in the event last year. in that Southern Tier game, Drew Hind and Lucas Brown, I reached out to each one of them and said,
Okay.
give me a song you want to see in the warm-ups. And they both had one, and I made sure that each of those songs were in that warm-up, you know.
Alex Colsty does camera work for us. He wants you to play at some point, if you can, Narco. At some point.
Narco, what, the trumpet?
Yeah. If you can get Narco in there at some point for Alex, he'd really appreciate it.
That's already in. That's one of the right before tip songs.
A producer of
7
ours.
songs, 7 different right before tip songs. Narco is one of them. Might be the very first one. I think Narco is the song you're going to hear right before St. Francis and Akron tip.
Nice. Sweet Caroline make an appearance
no,
at all?
No, there's no Sweet Caroline.
Not even during a
It's almost,
timeout.
it's almost too easy.
We got to get Jeremy Becker said he would quit if you don't play Sweet Caroline at least once. It could be Saturday. I mean, it doesn't have to be Friday.
These playlists have been submitted. It would have to be a last-minute addition.
All right. See what you can do.
Let's see. What's like a super common song that's definitely in a playlist? The YMCA, right? You get people to stand up and make little gestures.
Has anyone ever done the wave at one of these events?
No, we need a wave.
We need someone. George Benson.
We need a wave.
You think George would start it?
Remember at Rich Stadium when 2 guys would try and get the wave started on their own, and one would stand and the other would stand?
Yeah. During the drought, I think we'd pour beer over that guy's head, or anything else that were in our hands at the time. Yeah. Anyways, someone told you to get on with the basketball. Like they enjoy the show, but they want to get into it.
Yes.
Quit fooling around with the food and the where you were list last week and where you're going. I want to hear basketball talk. So,
yep.
Let's take a break. Just kidding, Tim. We won't take a break, but seriously, we've had a pretty good week in terms of putting miles on the card. You went down to Salamanca, caught an awesome game. Salamanca and Olean. Was that Tuesday night? That was Lucas Brown night there?
That was Tuesday night. Lucas Brown got the number 23 retired for being the school's all-time leading scorer, all-time leader in assists. Coach Bennett said during that presentation, Lucas could have been a 2,000-point scorer and talked about certain accomplishments he could have made, but highlighted the fact that his game was more about being part of a team concept and being a standout player within that. And I agree with that. And I think something I've said about Lucas and his contribution to Salamanca and also Coach Bennett's, and any program that really takes off the way Salamanca's has over the last few years, and it speaks to why they're so successful today, this season, after Lucas Brown, the school's all-time leading scorer, is gone, is you get a coach that really cares about a program, and he gets that one player who's really good, and he had him in 8th grade. So he's got this kid right through 8th grade. Well, that one elite player at a small school, or really at any school, but you get this elite player, it's infectious to the kids around him. You know, he raises the level of everyone else's play, and they all come through together. And that's what we saw last year with Salamanca is by the time Lucas was a senior, those kids had played together a little bit. You see the same thing in Randolph with Drew Hind and the effect of the Hinds and, you know, that whole – or whatever school you want to give the example to. A really marquee player will raise the level of the kids around him, the coach. And it becomes – and then the younger kids watch this and they say, I want to be part of that. I can't wait to play varsity basketball at Salamanca. And all of a sudden you got something going and you just got to keep that train going. And so this year, we've described it on this show, when you watch Salamanca this year, it looks like Salamanca last year. Everybody got a little better, and Lucas is over on the bench in foul trouble. And everyone's just playing on without him right now. You know, that's what the team shows.
I somewhat compare what Adam has going down at Salamanca to what Eric Rupp has at Lancaster with football. You just replace the parts.
Yes.
The program's there. They're playing well together. It's next man up. Lancaster football, it's next man up. We lose Joe Andreessen, okay, next man up. And that's why Lancaster is literally at high mark every single year, because they are, when the chips are, you know, they just knock them down. I mean, Lancaster is Lancaster because of what Lenny Jankowicz has put there, and Eric Rupp has been able to build off of and continue maintain the excellence there.
Pick your consistent
that's kind of Salamanca
program, and I mean, Lancaster's a great example of it. A school like Amherst. Look at what Amherst has going on and what they've had going on. You lose 2 players of the caliber of the 2 kids that left, and they're still right there competing in the games. And, you know, that's very much a next man up mentality school. A lot of schools like that. You know, Canisius is always in that mix. Timon, Timon loses
The two
two
best
marquee
players.
guards last year, and they have Nakai back, but there's kids in the building, and you don't even know until you're watching. You're like, okay, yeah, that train keeps rolling.
You don't know until you put the ball in their hands. Sometimes. Before we get too far, I did want to send our condolences out again to Don Shola, who passed away.
Yes.
Was a longtime Olean basketball coach there. I didn't know Don until I started Western New York Athletics, and he worked in the Section 6 office. That's when I had a good personal relationship with Don. Not that we talked every single day or even every week, but I had regular communication with him. You know, he was a treasure. So
I never had regular communication with Don. I knew Don as the Olean athletic director back in the day. First time I went to Olean, that's when I met Don. I don't even think Don knew what I did. Jeff Anastasia kind of told him about it, and he said, "Oh, sure, if Jeff says you're worth being here, we'll put you at a spot." And I would always deal with Jeff, and then Don retired as AD, and I would know he was around. But what I can say about Don Shola is I know a lot of people that know Don, and I always have, and Don was always somebody who was talked about as a gentleman and one of the overall good guys that people knew, as well as being a phenomenal basketball coach. I think everyone would think, excuse me for 1 second, everyone would think that like Jeff Anastasia is that big influence on Adam Bennett, and he has been. Adam Bennett coached with that. But I can tell you from conversations with Adam Bennett, the name I heard more than anything when he talked about his biggest influence was Don Shola. I mean, Adam Bennett revered Don Shola. And, I know Jeff did too. When we went down, we started that broadcast on Tuesday night, and I'm just going through the opening and setting up the game, and all of a sudden, they paused for a moment of silence that I didn't know was coming. I've got my headphones on at first. I couldn't even hear what they were saying at first. I heard the name Don Shola, and I thought, oh, my gosh, Don passed away. I'm surprised no one told me. I thought, well, no one needs to get that information to me, but I'm just surprised I didn't know that. Then at halftime, I went over and I just gave my condolences to Lori Anastasia, who does a scorebook at Olean, because I know how close she was with Don, and just wanted to extend condolences to her. And when I did, she had mentioned that it had just happened today, and that, and I kind of got more of the details suddenly and how unexpected and sudden it was. And then I was that just sat with me the rest of the night. And it's a heavy situation.
Yeah. He was inducted into the Section 6 Hall of Fame a month or so ago, which was nice. He went in the same class as Joe Licata.
And amen that he got in, and he got to.
So it's kind of like Fowler. Remember when John passed away? It was, what? And that's exactly what it was like for Don. I mean, those are Mount Rushmore type guys around Western New York high school athletics. You know what I mean?
St. Bonaventure, Olean girls, Olean athletics in general. Yeah.
He did color for St. Bon. I had no idea. Yeah. So, but he was he's going to be missed, and he's one of those guys that for the last 10 years or so he was really behind the scenes, representing Section 6 down at NISFA meetings and things of that nature, and bringing that knowledge and information back to relay it to the folks here. So that he's an instrumental kind of guy that obviously people are going to really really miss him, especially those people down at Olean where he spent so many years. I thought I read he had over 400 wins as a coach. That's a lot of wins.
Yes.
You think about how many games you play a year, and you're over 400. Now, he was also at a Section 5 school. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I read that right. Maybe Rush Henrietta. But he started out in Section 5, and then him and his wife got jobs.
You'd have to win 20 games 20 years in a row to get to 400.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah. So, condolences to his family and friends and all those people down in Olean that knew him very well, and of course everyone in the Section 6 office in New York State Public High School Athletic Association that came in contact with Don regular. It's a tough loss. Moving on, again, you guys were at Salamanca, Olean Tuesday. I did Dunkirk, Faulkner. That was a pretty good game. Dunkirk came out on top, the varsity there.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
So
Those teams played 3 times this year.
yeah, that was a big win for Dunkirk. I will be down next week, Friday, for round 2 of Dunkirk Fredonia. Next Friday night.
The rivalry.
The rivalry continues. We already got the green light from the AD at Dunkirk to do that. I hear that Nick Bertrando is going to wear a powder blue tuxedo into that gym.
Really?
It's a rumor right now, but I heard Bertrando was going to wear powder blue.
Snug fitting.
Very snug.
Yeah. Svelte.
What else would you wear? Of course.
Nick is svelte.
Actually, you know what? Nick's probably going to pound me when he hears this comment.
He could pound you.
He could easily pound me. Yes, he's a tough guy. Italian too, in case you just found that out. So that makes him even better. But anyways, just kidding. He's probably not going to wear the powder blue into the Dunkirk high school.
The powder blue.
That's why I said powder blue. You're wearing the powder blue CENTERCOURT shirt.
It's this year's joint too. It's the 7th.
I love it. Now, who does your shirts for you? Let's give him a. Do you want to announce that here?
Well,
Who does your shirts?
I get my apparel through BSN for the CENTERCOURT class, the all CENTERCOURT teams, and I go through the same sales rep. For that I don't
wonder who that is.
So yeah.
By the way, WNY Athletics could use some apparel. If anybody is out there wondering, you'll notice that this vest does not have WNY Athletics insignia on it. So
I think I'm going with the same color scheme for the all CENTERCOURT hoodies this year too. It's a good color.
Well, congratulations. Anyways, the CENTERCOURT Classic gets going tomorrow. Is there any other game this past week that you want to mention? Do you want to talk about Canisius time before we go to break? Or if there's another game you want or player you want to highlight before we do that, why don't you do that now? And then next segment we'll really get into CENTERCOURT Classic.
Sure. Okay, so Monday night, let's just mention real quick, Niagara Falls gets out of Amherst with a narrow victory after a large lead. They took a double-figure lead quickly in that game, extended it in the second half with a 14-0 run, or in the second quarter with a 14-0 run. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Did you see that coming, or what was it about Amherst that they were able to go on that kind of a run to make that a game closer than what it appeared it was going to be?
Twofold. So,
who did what?
Maybe some not great decision making on the part of Falls at times.
Okay.
Like player decisions, stuff that would probably just cause Carlos to want to, what are we doing? I'm sure. Without even really speaking to him about it, I'm sure he was getting a little frustrated with a couple of things that were going on instead of them just taking care of business and closing out.
Okay.
They lost their way a little bit. And for Amherst, relentless, just taking what they could get. They were getting the ball into high post and getting some nice finishes from Grady Brown. Balanced contribution. I would say that Elijah Dixon might have had a team high in points, but he had to work for everything he got. Adam Sarzinski had a nice game down the stretch for the team. Amherst just gets in by not going away, by continuing to play for 32 minutes every possession. Coach Kenzie's coaching every possession. And conversely, Niagara Falls came out with full throttle on for a while and maybe didn't play all the way for 32 minutes. Sometimes you gotta recognize we got a 20-point lead. We don't need to jack that 3-point shot right now. We need to be smart with the basketball. But so to highlight a player from that game, I would say DeQuarius Seabury is somebody who should be mentioned. The sophomore at Niagara Falls. He is a nice shooting guard, a nice defender for the team, and I don't know if he gets enough credit for his consistent defensive energy and the way that he affects stuff, against other teams' ball handlers. He's just disruptive.
Yeah, a lot of the times when I talk to some players, I hear about what they did offensively, and I will maybe relay to them. I said, I saw what you did offensively. Do you know how well you played defensively and how many times you disrupted a possession by the other team just by being wide, by playing your position the way you do you know how many baskets you stopped just by playing so well defensively, taking, good looks away, things of that nature. I go, that all comes into play, and that's why you are more of a complete player than you give yourself credit for. I know you want to tell me about their dunk. I know you want to tell me about those shots you had at the top of the key, this, that, and the other. But the way you defended tonight is a big reason why the game went in your team's favor. A lot of kids don't put a lot of stock into their own defensive efforts because they don't see it necessarily in the points.
Well, they should.
They did.
What you see is a lot of kids go down and knock down a big shot, and then they decide they want to play defense. Then they all of a sudden they're clapping their hands and they're ready to play defense.
Yes.
I admire the kids who come out.
Yep.
They don't need to clap their hands to play defense, and they don't need to make a big shot. They're starting everything at that end.
Yeah.
A couple other Niagara Falls kids to mention from that game. Marshawn McTeer was really good in the first half of that. Jake Rollins had a nice second half. Jeremiah Shipp is a player who comes off the bench for Falls, but he's a defensive stopper. He comes in and brings some defensive energy every time he checks into the game. And then John Strong, I just like John Strong as a player for that team. John Strong is probably a little underrated for as good as he is and how much he keeps Falls balanced and doing what they want to do. He's the brains on that floor.
Okay.
He's the coach on the court, from what I can see, and a super good defender.
Speaking of Amherst, I believe they have Will South tonight. Right? Is that
yeah? It's the rebattle of Main
That'll
Street.
be on NFHS. Jake Fyock is on the call with, I believe, Prince? Timmy? Okay.
Bang.
So Jake and Tom have the call tonight. NFHS Network. Niagara Falls gets on.
That's a lot of coverage for Amherst
lot
in
of-
a week.
it
Two
is.
broadcasts in a week.
Amherst gets on twice. Niagara Falls is playing Lockport Saturday. Do they play in between now and then? I'm not up on their schedule.
Who?
Niagara Falls. Do they play tonight or tomorrow?
Not up on that one either.
Okay. Someone.
They
text
play
us.
Saturday at 3:30.
We'll get into that for sure. Absolutely.
I was on my way to Amherst on Monday night, and I had told Coach Kenzie Friday, I'm coming your way. And he said, yeah, I'll have you set up. And then I see you guys are broadcasting that game, and I fire off a call to Dean Adams and say, are you there yet? And he said, yeah. And I said, is there any place for me to work from? He goes, no, Western New York Athletics has that whole area covered up. I said, okay. That's okay, though.
Wait a second.
We figured it out.
You had a spot.
Where was it?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I hope you had a spot.
There was no spot.
Like, can't
It's
you
okay,
just
though.
can't you just sit at the same table we're at in those situations? It should be a big table.
Have you seen Tom Prince during a broadcast? 2 elbows out.
He gets into
big
it.
Producer. Jake Fyock on the scene. It was actually Ryan Gallo that night. It
Yeah.
was Ryan Gallo and Joe Kraus. That's a nice tandem.
That's a good tandem. Yeah,
Good tandem.
they work well together. Ryan actually could do play-by-play also. He's actually a very good play-by-play guy.
Ryan's a pretty talented guy. Ryan Mountain can do a good Ryan Gallo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny. We're driving to Salamanca together, and we were channeling our Enter the Others, right? So I was doing Joe Kraus, he was doing Ryan Gallo,
Okay.
and it was good.
Did you?
Have I told you how much I enjoy Ryan Mountain's company? He's funny.
He is. When's your next game? Center Court with Ryan Mountain. Do we know? Don't we have
Tuesday night,
Joe's timing?
timing at St. Joe's.
Make room,
cash.
Dean. Dean, make sure there's room for this guy, please. So we don't have to hear about it next Thursday or Friday's show. I don't want to hear Joe's getting called
Well,
out.
for broadcast, they're going to have a
You're spending
setup.
a lot of time there.
That's what I'm saying. Is if I'm working for Western New York Athletics, there's the setup. Center Court. I'm just coming to do the social media updates tonight. They're like, yeah, I don't know, Chad. That's kind of old school. We got a big broadcast going on here tonight. Last week I went to Williamsville South. They were playing Williamsville East. That was Friday night. Remember, I was here. Same thing. I went there. That table was 8 up. There was like 5 wide. this was the WBFO broadcast. It was Cruiser and Collie and
Timmy.
just a whole bevy of people. And
We don't even know who those people are.
I was like, oh, is any of these? No, nothing. Okay, and they're like, oh, what did you need? And I was like, you could just put me at like one of those naughty desks back behind the scores table, and so that's what I did. I just kind of sat back there like peering over the scores table.
Man. Kevin Lester, come on, man. Hook
It's all good.
Hook the guy up.
It's all good.
Why don't we take a quick break? Thank all our sponsors again, like Empire Electric, Tony Pulverenter. We got to get on the show. We have to have Tony in studio or Zoom him in to see what's going on in Tony's life. He's got one on the way, and he's got one here already.
He's too busy. He's too busy. That's what Tony is. I
When is
called
he
him
gonna-
last week, told him how much I missed him, how much I just want to talk hoops with him, that he's gotten too busy. He's like, I'll get a hold of you on Monday.
Have you seen his
We'll get
pictures?
caught up on Monday. Guess who I haven't heard from? Tony.
Have you seen his
Oh,
man
me,
cave?
Tony.
Have you seen his man cave? Pictures of his man cave at all?
No, that's what I mean. I
think he's
just
having
need-
a
by
Super Bowl
little Tony
party.
in my life would lend to a little of those kind of conversations.
I think he's having a Super Bowl party. I have a feeling your invitation and mine got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
Let's just show up.
Yes. Party
He's
crashers.
got a nice setup. All right, we'll bring Tony in very soon after he crashes Super Bowl party. You're watching the Center Court Weekly Edition with the Wolf and Chadster. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Thank you.
Need an electrician? Empire Electric is your residential wiring specialist. New builds, service upgrades, lighting, generators, you name it, Empire does it with hundreds of 5-star reviews that speak for themselves. Call Empire Electric today for your free estimate.
Education has power. Binghamton University students discover it, apply it, unleash it. Unleash your education today.
Hi, we're back. My chair just gave out.
You're strong. You could have been in this chair and on this side again this week, but you chose to go over there. Is it better
didn't-
lighting?
I didn't choose. You put me here last week. I just assumed we were going with a new format.
All right. I don't know
So,
why.
I don't know.
Okay. Round 2 or segment 2, whatever you want to call it. Thanks again to Empire Electric and Logistics Plus of Buffalo, Binghamton, and Damon Universities, Cha-Cha Attorneys, South Park, and Hamburg. We're talking to Chad Andrews like we normally do every week here. And this
Who's that guy? Center Court.
wears a powder blue shirt on Thursdays. Tomorrow, the 7th annual Center Court Classic starts. First game 6 o'clock. Akron, St. Francis, public-private matchup, very cool. Will you or will you not report the Currys before the event kicks off?
On Friday? Oh, you're damn right I'll be at Curry's
What
first.
time would you think you'll get there? Not that you have stalkers, but just in case someone's listening and wants to stalk, what time would they see you eating the German potato salad?
I would be entering Curry's by 2:30 because I'm going to want to throw it down and then get settled.
Is George Benson and gang making the trip all the way up and then going
course
all?
they are.
But are they going all the way home the same
George
night?
Benson will probably be there when I walk in.
He's there now.
I'm not kidding. You know what George Benson's doing this year?
Please tell me he was at Salamanca.
Yes, he was at
I was
Salamanca.
disappointed he wasn't at Faulkner. But then again, Salamanca Olean. I get it, George. I get it.
Because I told him I was going. George is so
I
cool.
like surprising him.
He introduced himself to Ryan Mountain, and
You never met?
they had never met. And so after Ryan Mountain says, who is that guy there? And I said, oh, that's George Benson. I tell him who it is, and he goes, he was so nice to talk to. And I said, yeah, that's George Benson.
Well, he was at the first Panama Westfield game that we did down in Panama. By the way, they're playing.
Yeah,
tonight.
so I don't think he introduced himself to Ryan then.
Oh,
But
okay.
He
Okay.
told Ryan how much he enjoys listening to his good work.
Nice.
But you know what George Benson's doing this year? Just on his own accord, offered doing this is who George Benson is, everybody. He said, I wanna bring Gatorades for all the referees at your classic.
No kidding.
Would that be okay if I did that? I said, yeah, of course. He's bringing his own cooler, his own Gatorade. He's already gotten back to me. I've got it. It's all set. This is, that's just a gesture of kindness on his end.
Very nice. Tomorrow,
He'll probably, he shows up with gifts for me. Sends me a birthday card every year.
one Halloween, I dressed up as an official. I'll wear my official shirt and see if I get a free Gatorade out of George. What, Tim? You don't think I'll fit in that?
He's laughing at how you look in stripes.
Me too. Hey, free Gatorade. What the hell?
Frank Wolf behind bars.
Try anything to get a free Gatorade. The yellow or the green only. Thanks, George.
You should tell everybody what my text back to you said. Frank sends out the mother hen text on Tuesday night, let me know when everyone's made it back home. And
You never did.
what? Well,
You never texted me that you got home okay. I was worried for 24
there's
hours.
a few texts that came in. We're home. We're home.
You saw that?
I did. Did you see what I said?
No, because you never texted me back. Oh, yeah.
You replied back, sorry, wrong number.
Yeah, something about bail money.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys got home safe, thankfully.
We sure did.
You're here now.
Yep.
By the way, we have to apologize to the people that tuned in that game. I guess there was a lot of buffering going on.
What I heard.
So we're going to work on that. We're going to figure that out, and I think we got to go back to Salamanca, try it again.
Okay.
So let me know the rest of that schedule for Salamanca, and we'll get back there. I'm sure Chad.
I think the tried and true method for all producers, if you're listening, Tim, is have the broadcast actually playing so that you can see what everyone else is seeing. Don't rely on the little green light to say it says it's good. Watch the broadcast, and if you're seeing it's buffering, everyone's seeing it's buffering.
All right.
You guys do too much work. It's too much work to get a crew there and a cameraman and a producer and to make all those calls and have them set it all up to not have it be the product it should be. And Western New York Athletics just continues to grow in popularity and an audience, and let's deliver it for them.
Salamanca, you shouldn't have those issues. You
No.
shouldn't be having those issues.
No, Chad Bartozik's on the scene. They're buttoned up. They've got the resources to make a good
They're
production
Section 6
happen.
champions.
They're
They'll
Section
mess
6
that stuff
champions, and I'm sure they got reliable Wi-Fi in that place that
Well,
they'd be happy to put us.
We'll get. I haven't been to the gym yet this year, so we'll get down there.
Yes.
I almost surprised you for that varsity game, but I was too into the Dunkirk game. I wanted to see Roger Markham, recent 1,000-point getter, and
Yes.
Kavion Bell from Dunkirk is a nice player. Like to watch Kavion play.
Maybe we'll go back when Falconer plays over there.
Okay.
How about that? You see Markham and Sally all on the same night.
Yep. Oh yeah. And did you give that thing to Holleran?
Holleran.
Corey Holleran, the little plaque.
Ooh, I did. Yes, I did.
Did you?
I got you there, didn't I?
Okay.
Gave the shirts you sent down. Gave
All
the
those shirts?
plaque,
The shirts from 2
delivered
years
the
ago?
all center court hoodie to Lucas. All of it. I showed up
Very
like
nice.
Santa.
Okay. Santa Andrews. Let's get into this. It's the Center Court Classic. It starts tomorrow night. First game, Akron, St. Francis, and then you got the home venue, St. Joe's, taking on Jamestown. And you better have room for Tom Ames and the boys because they probably want to do a radio broadcast. Did they put the credential in for you? No. Oof. Tom.
I don't. They're not coming up to do a radio broadcast.
Sure. I would.
That's not happening.
Jamestown and they'll be in the tight quarters. All they need is a plug. They could do it from the third bleacher.
I don't believe they're doing it. I mean, Jamestown's been in a few classics. Tom Ames has never come up to put it on the radio.
Really? Oh. All right, we'll figure something out.
You know what I'd like? People to just come to the event. Yeah. I don't want them listening to the radio, watching the stream. Come to the gym and watch it. Yes. How do you encourage people to come to your event?
Take it off.
That's right.
Here. Yeah. Very good. So Akron, Francis. Is Francis going in another direction right now?
No.
Okay.
No, they're good.
Talk me off the ledge with St. Francis then.
If you dropped St. Francis in ECIC 1, they would compete for a league title every year.
Okay.
They play in the Monsignor Martin, which is a wicked meat grinder. They're a very good team. I mean, last year they played Jamestown in the Center Court Classic. Jamestown went on to the state Final Four in Class AA, beat Health Sciences. You know, we know how the season ended.
Yeah.
a few weeks after that Center Court Classic. They played a great game, a very competitive game. I mean, St. Francis is a good competitive team. I think Akron's in trouble. I don't think Akron's going to go in and beat St. Francis.
Okay.
I think they could, and I think that's why you take that game, and that's why you challenge yourself. If you're Akron, you say, we want to play. We're in the NO right now. We see the same stuff. We've got the handful of non-league games we get. Let's challenge our butts off in those non-league games because we think that we've got a chance to go and win something. But who are we going to have to play if we get there? These teams that always win it.
So
We're going to have to play in Akron. We're going to have to play a Salamanca, a Limestone, a Falconer.
Akron is
Those
good
kind
enough.
of teams. A Dunkirk.
And Akron is good enough to, if they want, they could make a run, but they've got to play a very good, more competitive team than them. St. Francis should bring that out. Should bring that out of them.
A couple years ago, Randolph played Nichols in the Center Court Classic. A lot of people, why would you schedule that game? Do you think it's going to be a blowout? I say it could be a blowout, or it could be the best game of the event. It ended up being the best game of the event. But Randolph went on and won a state championship. Now, is it because they played in the Classic? Probably not. But, hey, I don't think that hurt. I don't think that experience in a tight game like that in that atmosphere, it's got to inspire. So if Akron can go in and really compete with St. Francis or knock them off, how good are you going to feel about yourself, Akron, if you come in and knock off St. Francis? Now you can look at each other and say, hey, these guys just went to the end with St. Mary's, who they also scheduled this year. So Akron's got a game against St. Mary's coming. So anyway, that's that first game. Akron has Darren Brooks, who's a sophomore, big man. You want to see him play, people. You want to see some Darren Brooks from Akron. He's different. He's good.
Looking forward to it. 6 o'clock. I might be a little late to that one, but I'll be there.
Okay.
Joe's Jamestown.
Joe's Jamestown, I think, is going to be really fun. Those are two offenses that like to fly, and they score points, and they score points efficiently. That's what I expect to see in that game.
Underneath the hoop, aren't these two of the more physical teams? Would you say that, or not so much?
I don't know.
I don't know if Joe's is that physical.
I wouldn't say that about either team.
Not even Jamestown.
I think, no, not right now. I think Jamestown is a little more finesse than physical.
Okay.
They are maybe a little more physical when they needed to be. Dom Gonzalez, Jaden Johnson, Elijah Farmer, they can all play basketball. They got little guards. They're not a big team. If Elijah's their biggest player, Elijah's skill set is more that of a stretch four or even a college three. He's just as tall and long.
Okay, so Joe's, for them to go as far as you think they can go, or they think they can go, or as many people believe they can go, don't they have to be a little bit more physical around the boards than they've been?
Yeah, if I was trying to give St. Joe's a recipe to look toward, anything different than they're already doing, it would be play through the big man a little more than you do.
Okay.
Some
Don't
post
have
touches, and then the big man's got to get, big smooth Nate. Nate's got to get really good at taking an entry pass, recognizing that double and getting rid of it, or a decisive, strong finish. Not I'm going to go up and try and dunk it. I'm going to finish strong. The most important thing is put the ball in the basket.
Yeah.
So, and make sure that happens. No soft bunnies around the basket, no missed dunks, just score. Recognize doubles coming, get the ball out, get that ball moving. Not settle for the first shot you see in an offensive set. Joe's is wildly talented. So,
would you say the same thing about Jamestown though, and what they're going to have to go through if they want to win a Section 6 Class AAA championship and beyond? Would they have to adapt to playing a more tougher physical style of ball, especially when it comes to around the hoop?
They're gonna have to. Yes, maybe not to get out of the section per se,
but 5.
Yeah, what's going to happen with Niagara Falls is they're going to get in a super physical game with Niagara Falls at the end of the year. that'll happen.
So my point is maybe these two teams that haven't had to play that style, but at some point they're going to have to, this is a good opportunity for them to do that tomorrow night.
And I don't think they're gonna.
But you don't think they're going to?
No, I don't think it's gonna be a physical game. I think it's gonna be
It's not going to hurt them
fast.
in the standings either way.
Yeah.
This is a pride game for either.
It's maybe not how you beat each other, would be, I think, my opinion. Like, I don't think Jamestown comes in and says we've got to be more physical than
muscle,
St.
yeah.
Joe's tonight to beat them. They would say that when they played Canisius. They'll say that when they play Niagara Falls. So maybe the team to, if you're Jamestown, to practice that against is Williamsville North or Orchard Park, or, you know.
That's where you would play that grand?
Yeah, like they got timing at the end of the year. I expect that to be very similar to the St. Joe's game. A fun, wildly entertaining, high-scoring, fast-paced game.
Friday, who do you like in those two games? If you had to pick a winner, do you want to do that? Or if you don't want to do it, we'll just go right into Saturday. But if you had to, who would you expect to come out on top
I
of
already
those
said
two
that I think St. Francis will beat Akron, so I'll stay with that. And my rankings say St. Joe's over Jamestown, and that's what I'll say for that.
Your rankings had a bit of a twist to it this week to some degree. Is Canisius?
They sure did, yeah.
Do you want to talk about that at all before we get into Saturday?
Okay. I laid it out as best as I could. You watch Timon just lay the wood to Canisius on their floor. And the thought, as soon as you watch it happen, is, I guess they're number one. And then you think, well, they lost to Joe's by 10 at home, and I watched them lose by 13 to Niagara Falls. And really just started to reflect on the whole thing and say it's tough to say Timon that game today, you at your very best and Canisius not looking so good, and you making them not look so good, that makes you number one now because Canisius was number one. I started to think, well, Canisius was number one on the merits of the wins they had. All those wins were at home. I mean, every team they've beaten has been a good competitive game, and it's been at home. Nichols, Jamestown, St. Joe's, Niagara Falls. Those were all wins for Canisius. None of them were like maybe the emphatic victory. Like Joe's going in and that win at Timon the night, that was a high-energy game. Joe's claimed that game probably doesn't, a 10-point score might not truly reflect how competitive that Joe's Timon game was in South Buffalo. The game between Niagara Falls and Timon made it close in the fourth quarter, and then Falls pulled back away. Falls was in the lead most of that game. But yeah, I thought, okay, Joe's is more consistently putting it on teams right now than Canisius is. Even though they beat them, there was a consequence that had to come Canisius's way when you get beat that badly at home. So they weren't going to stay at number one. So ultimately, I went with Joe's 1, Falls 2, Timon 3, Canisius 4. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what I did. The one thing I have to do that other people don't that are voting in a poll is I got to show everybody this is how I voted, and here is why.
Okay.
You know, I don't see anyone else doing that. People will throw out their rankings. They're not really telling you why. They're just throwing out their rankings, or you get to vote in a poll, and it's your, you know. I mean, if I didn't put my rankings out every week, I would just be voting in the Buffalo News poll, and you'd hope I was telling you the truth about how I voted. But it's easier to stand by your decisions and explain them the best way you can, and hopefully it makes sense. And I always say, it doesn't mean I'm right. It just means this is how I arrived on it.
Okay. That's how I figured you would say, and you said it perfectly. And I think you've got it right. More than anything, you got it right. Friday's taken care of. You explained your rankings. Saturday happens. You can't get into Curry's at 9 in the morning. Well, what do you do on their way to Joe's?
There's no Curry's trips on Saturdays. I'm in it for the German potatoes.
One and done. Okay. You walk into St. Joe's Saturday morning. You welcome.
Saturday's going to be Ulysses Pizza from Sheridan.
Delivery or pickup or what?
It's going to have to be delivery. It's too much going on. Last year there was a long enough break I could sneak over and get back. This year there's not going to be enough time. By the time that 3:30 game ends, and
what time would you want that Ulysses?
Game's going to start.
Does Ulysses know?
No, I'll take care of it.
Ulysses
is good.
Get on the job, Ulysses. He just pumped you 3 times on the hottest basketball show.
You guys don't know about Ulysses on Sheridan?
Oh, it's
It's
fantastic.
real close to Colvin. It's in between Colvin and Niagara Falls Boulevard, closer to Colvin by Ted's. Ulysses is a good New York style pizza. It's consistent. It's good. And they got this deep dish chicken finger pizza that's always sitting there by the slice too. Ulysses. Olissis.
Used to be John and Mary's.
Did it?
I used to work there.
How about it?
Sucked.
Corner of Brighton and Sheridan, right?
Not exactly.
No, not exactly.
But there's
Not
a couple-
Brighton. No, not Brighton. Excuse me. Disregard Brighton. It's on Sheridan, right where I said it was.
Near the old putt-putt. Anyways, Saturday, big time. Star Point, who's playing pretty well, taking on Timon, who just beat Canisius by 20. How do you see that one going?
I think that one goes heavily in Timon's favor. We'll find out if Star Point can come in and put some juice on that game. Star Point's got some talent.
Okay,
They've
so
got
talk about those guys.
Jackson Griesmere is really scoring it this year in his senior year. Cohen Vogel, the team's guard, is your do-it-all player. He's the guy that gets them into their sets. He's a defender, a facilitator. He can score when need be. He's the coach on the floor. Ben Olson is that great role player who can score for him, can be your high scorer in a game, but is also your consistent role player in that third piece of moving scoring for him. What they lost was Jack Kempf to that ACL injury. I don't think Jack's going to Willis Reed for me tomorrow and come strolling out of the locker room ready to make his first appearance of the season. But and nor would I expect him to. Tore his ACL in the off season. It's got to be 6'8". I mean, that's a 6'8" difference maker that can stand in and affect everything around the paint. So Star Point losing him this year, it was a tough blow for Star Point, and it's a tough blow for that classic matchup with them taking on Timon. But like I said about Akron, Star Point, you picked up a win this year over Williamsville East. You picked I'm struggling to think. I know that they had a good win besides. Oh, it was Williamsville East. That was one of the nicer wins that I thought that they picked up. Go win or lose. Go compete on that court with Timon on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Propel yourself because they play in AA2. So to win a sectional championship this year for Star Point, you're going to have to be better than the team I just mentioned, Williamsville East, who you've done it once against. Hamburg's in that bracket. Kenmore West is in that bracket. Health Sciences is in that bracket. So
You mentioned Ken West, and they just knock off previously unbeaten Grand Island.
they sure did. They sure did. Props to the Blue Devils. Sometimes you never know what Ken West team you're going to get when you get the really good version of Ken West, like what would have showed up in that Grand Island game. Good things happen for the Blue Devils. Watched them take it on the chin in the second half on Friday night against Williamsville East. That's the other end of what the Blue Devils sometimes are. But a good Blue Devils team, when Ryan Hogan's team is playing at their best, they're dangerous.
Scrappy. Will South Nichols. What's the draw there?
There's a lot of draw there.
Let's hear it.
So Will South is currently number 10 in my rankings, and number 11 or number 10.5 or 10.1 is Nichols. Nichols is playing – they're losing games extremely close. They're like, if there's a team where you'd say they don't have any bad losses, or they might not have these marquee wins you're looking for, but they don't have bad losses either. It is Nichols. Nichols has been extremely close with just about everybody they've played this year. Trey Palfrey has taken his game to another level around a host of kids who he's played with last year. Like the whole farm came back, minus Chikai, and they've really been playing well. I think that that South Nichols game is going to be extremely close. Can go either way. No. They only play once because they're not in the same league anymore. Because Niagara Falls went independent, which is what makes putting this game back at Classic cool is they were twice a year rivals for a long time. That was a rivalry that had to get moved to a Saturday afternoon at noon because, things were getting contentious. So now they're not in the same league anymore. Lockport's got a squad this year. They got a really good squad. So I wanted to see them play their rivals, play Niagara Falls. Lockport has two bigs. No one else in the area has two bigs like Lockport does. And Lockport uses them, and they're different bigs. Caleb Berry is a leaper and a finesser. Maurice Woods is your old school. Get me a rebound. Alter the paint with shot blocking. Close finishes around the basket. Maurice Woods was great. He was the difference maker in that win over Amherst last week. And then you got, Charlie Croft. You got Mike Griffin, who was just popping shots. Devontae Petricone. Cam Rodriguez. Lockport. Just a couple scrubs from the southern tier. Yeah, his Buffalo debut for sure. Number 1 and number 2 in the local rankings. Number 1 and number 2 in the state in Class C. Randolph is 2 seasons now removed from a state championship. They were sectional champions last year. They beat Westfield to become sectional champions, a game that went to overtime. So last time they played, they were in overtime. It is my most anticipated game of the weekend. Oh, yeah. Can't wait for that game. I expect it. These are the fans. These are the. Last year it was Salamanca Randolph. It was a noon game on Saturday, and it was the most energy that the gym had the whole classic. And everybody that sat there and watched it, the St. Joe's coaching staff sat down on the baseline, and they still talk about it. Man, that game was good. That was fun. I remember just people around there were like, I'm really glad you put that game in your classic. Everybody, the feedback was fantastic from everybody. I'm like, you see, that's why I get in my car and drive all those miles. That is just passionate high school basketball and well coached with good players. And, yeah, I'm excited for that game. It's going to be good. There's going to be a lot of energy in that gym Saturday night. 6:15 is tip of Randolph Westfield. Because we got to have time to reset after a 3:30 game that's probably finishing up. No, it'll be done a little before 5 usually. Well, we're on our hour 45 blocks, so. Okay. We have to. We'll go running clock in the fourth quarter, just to stay on time. Yeah. Right. And, I was laying out that Canisius has a lot of close wins over the top 10 schools that they've beaten. They've all been at home. This one's not at home. Health Sciences is a nice team this year. They are a top 10. I think it's a good game. I think it's a really good game, actually. Yeah. That's a little too late for this old man to be eating pizza. Yep.
All right, so you'll get it on Ulysses delivery.
Back in the day, I was that fool that when Monday Night Football started, that's when I started eating my personal pizza. 4 slices of pizza during Monday Night Football. Then, not a pint of ice cream, a quart, 2 pints.
Wow.
2 16-ounce pints in a bowl, oversized. And then I would take that to the head and, That's when I rolled around a little chubbier and a little more indigestive at night. And
How many Perriers will you go through this weekend? The plus minus
Friday and Saturday?
plus minus is 7 bottles.
Okay, well, probably I would bet the under. I would say 6.
Less? Okay.
3 a night. 3 a night.
Dean Adams, please keep a tab on that. You'll be sitting right next to or around Dean, I would imagine.
Hey, I got a text. We got a live text about the show. Let's share.
Really?
Nolan Swanson from Westfield.
Shouldn't you be in class or teaching class?
No, it says, "Hey Chad, how dare you?" No, it doesn't say that. It says, "Hey Chad, I'm listening. Frank's mic is off or turned down." It's fixed.
Nolan, I don't bring a whole lot to the program. I don't know if this is your first week tuning in, but I don't bring a lot to the program, just being honest. It's all Chad.
I mean, it's actually, that was,
Thanks for the feedback.
it's back, and we're excited for the game, too, he said. Okay. The feedback I got was if you could just mute Frank's mic, So I talked to Tim before it, but I think he felt guilty, and he turned you back on.
Well, I didn't swear this week.
Maybe once.
Once?
You said I'd be pissed. I know.
Son says that to his teacher at school.
We all say it.
I think we're good there.
We are good.
I really don't have 5 questions prepared for you this week.
No?
Thought I did.
Just swing it. Just swing it. No pressure.
Okay. Is your wife and all your daughters going to be at the event Friday, Saturday, taking money and doing their thing?
They certainly will. Yep.
It's a whole family.
It's a family affair. The doors are armed by the ladies and probably some security or police officers as well. But, yeah, definitely a family affair. Okay. It needs to be. I couldn't do this by myself. Not this weekend.
Did you have all your officials assigned?
They are lovely, by the way, too.
They are.
My girls.
Yeah. Do you have all your officials? Do you know who your officials are for all these games yet? Have they been announced to you?
I know they're good ones. I've seen the list. Don't ask me to recall it right now. Too much going on in my brain, but they're all 100-level officials. 3 officials on every game, all 100 rating officials.
Well,
so
I want
good officiating.
Because you have Southern Tier teams, do you need to use that association also?
No, because it's not a playoff game, and they'll be fine. They're probably better off with just 3 Erie County officials that have never seen them, and and I shouldn't have even said that. Not that the Southern Tier officials ref any certain way because they know the teams. They don't. I just think they should just come on up and enjoy the event. But officials are covered. And it doesn't matter to me as long as they're good officials, and there are some good officials in the Southern Tier as well.
Yeah, Ray Speck's a good dude. Shannon Davis, a guy who used to do some play-by-play for us.
I worked with Shannon Davis.
Yeah, so he's doing some officiating down there, mostly JV games, if not all JV games, but he's doing a pretty good job down there as well. Today's show flew by, and Tim's got to go produce a girls' ice hockey game at Northtown, so he's giving me the hook. He's giving me the hook.
Okay.
And I don't know how to produce what he's doing without you. But all the games that are on the CENTERCOURT Classic for the next 2 days are on your screen. You are seeing them. You did see them. He has a nice graphic done, Tim.
Yeah. So let's wrap up. We'll say nice job by Eric O'Brien at running the NFL ECIC Challenge over the weekend at Niagara Wheatfield. What was it? 6 games total or 7 games? Something I'm about to tip off here this weekend. It's a lot going on. Good job by Eric with that. Nice win last night for Akron at Medina. I got to casually watch that one. I snuck in and snuck out when I heard that game got moved to last night. So it was a back-and-forth game. Medina led in the 4th quarter. Akron won at the end.
Shout out to the Turries, Joe and Sean, always doing a great job out there.
Yes.
Not just for us, but for you as well.
Yeah.
And then I also want to give Mayfield Media. I don't know if you know Damone or not. Damone Mayfield. He comes out to a lot of events and does a lot of photos and things like that. He does a great job. He just became a grandfather, so I want to give a shout out to Damone, first grandchild. Congratulations to you and your family. That's a very good moment for you guys, for you all. I don't know if he's going to be out there doing shots. He's loving this grandfather role, so we may lose him for a little while.
Like taking pictures or just like Lil Jon, like shots.
He won't let him out of
Shots.
his. That too. We'll take care of that fireball and go from there. Anyways, next
Fireball.
week I'm not sure where we're all at. I mean, we'll put a schedule out there for you can see what basketball game, what's the center court game of the week after this weekend, and
Center Court game of the week is right back at St. Joe's. It's timing at Joe's on Tuesday the 4th. I'll be broadcasting that. Before that is the Classic. It's also my first broadcast at St. Joe's this year, so please don't tell me I go to St. Joe's. I heard that on Saturday. We'll leave on that note. I'm leaving on Saturday, and I said, I figured out what I'm going to do, and I kind of laid it out, and they said, oh, they'll just say that's because you're from St. Joe's. And I said, is that what people think? And the lady goes, yeah, people think you're from St. Joe's. I said, that's hilarious.
No. So if you wear an official's T-shirt or official's jersey into the game, you get a free Gatorade.
I didn't even know who St. Joe's was in 2006. I remember saying, all those bunch of preppies, how good could they be at basketball anyway? And someone said, you better go watch them.
You did not.
I did. I'm a small school Niagara County kid. I had no idea that private school basketball was any good. I was so naive, and then I started watching, and I've never stopped since I started watching. The first time I watched St. Joe's play, Mark Simon was the coach. It was the year after their state championship team. Dom Cook was a senior guard, and they had John Greer. They looked wildly entertaining to me. They played so fast. It was such a higher level of basketball than what I ever saw down in Niagara County, and I was oh, I got the bug. Then the next time I saw Joe's play was at Canisius in that old Aud, and it was a Canisius team that had Anthony Ragusa, and walked into there, and I was like, oh my gosh, Canisius is really good too. And then I just could never get enough of it after that.
Center Court was born.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you very much for tuning in to this. I think this is the 4th show we've done.
It's at least 4. It might be more.
Shout out to Nolan Swanson for checking us out today. We appreciate you. We'll see you up at St. Joe's tomorrow where Chad works. And Tim, you did a great job producing today and doing the cameras. And is your office next to Brian Ankins, above Brian Ankins? Where is your office at St. Joe's?
Goodbye, everybody.
We'll see you next week. Center Court Weekly.
Hey, you.